Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, welcome back.
Today, we are tackling the Montessori approach
For toddlers.
for toddlers.
Yeah.
Specifically for toddlers. And we know you guys want to really understand this stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't have unlimited time.
Right.
So we have gone deep into the Montessori toddler.
Yes, we have.
And we are bringing you
the best parts.
all the practical takeaways.
Yes, all the gems, all the insights, so you can really start to put this into practice.
Exactly. And I think what's so cool about this book is it really does encourage us
Totally.
to look at things differently.
To make a shift.
Yeah.
A shift in perspective.
About toddlers.
Absolutely.
Because I think we all have that moment when they turn two.
It's a whole new ball game.
And they become like these little tyrants.
Yeah, the terrible twos.
But this book suggests that maybe we're looking at it wrong.
Maybe we're seeing them as the problem.
Yeah.
Instead.
Like they're doing something to us?
Yeah, they're not trying to give us a hard time.
Right.
They're having a hard time.
That's such a good point.
And the book makes that so clear right up front.
Yes.
And I think that's so important for anyone listening who is in the thick of it with a toddler.
Yes, and it makes you think, okay, instead of getting frustrated, how can I help this little person?
Right. What do they need from me right now?
Who's clearly struggling.
Yeah, because remember that their prefrontal cortex,
that's the part of the brain that
helps us make decisions.
Yeah, and control our impulses.
Exactly. It's still developing.
And it's going to be developing for a while.
For a long time.
So they don't have that yet.
So we kind of have to lend them ours.
Yes.
We're their external prefrontal cortex.
Oh, that's such a good way to put it.
Right.
I love that.
And I think when you can really see it that way, those things that used to drive you crazy start to make so much more sense.
Like the tantrums.
Oh, yeah, the tantrums.
Which this book actually says can be a good thing.
Well, not good exactly.
Okay, not good.
But healthy, because they're letting out all this pent-up energy.
Emotion.
Yeah, all these big feelings.
And they don't know how to deal with yet.
They don't have the words.
Yeah.
So they use their bodies.
Right.
And that's okay.
As long as they're safe.
Right, as long as everyone is safe.
Exactly.
You just have to make sure of that.
Yeah, and then there's the whole slowness.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That toddlers do.
It can be so frustrating.
But the book says
it's not about us.
Right.
It's about them.
They're just exploring.
Exactly. They're taking it all.
Every little detail.
Every single detail.
Which again, we have to remember.
They're seeing it for the first time.
Their prefrontal cortex is still cooking.
Still under construction.
And then there's those moments where they say something.
Oh gosh, yes.
Totally inappropriate.
In public.
In public.
Especially in public.
And it's mortifying.
It can be so embarrassing.
But again, the book reminds us.
They're still learning.
Yeah.
They don't understand those social norms.
Yes,
it takes time.
So I love how this book really encourages us to
be more understanding.
Yes.
More compassionate.
And I think that's a great foundation.
Absolutely.
For everything else we're going to talk about.
Totally.
So speaking of foundation, the book talks a lot about sensitive periods.
Yes, sensitive periods.
I know.
So these are windows of time in a child's development where they're super interested in learning specific skills.
Oh, wow.
And their brains are primed to absorb that information.
So it's the best time to
introduce those things, to really nurture those interests.
Gotcha.
And there are several of these that happen during the toddler years.
Like what?
Well, for example, there's a sensitive period for language.
Okay.
Where they're just mimicking every word they hear.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Like little parrots.
Yes, exactly.
And then there's a sensitive period for order.
Okay.
Where they get really upset if things are out of place.
If their routine is messed up.
Exactly. They need that predictability.
Wow. That makes so much sense.
Right. And then there's the sensitive period for movement.
Like they just want to run and climb.
All the time.
Yes.
They can't sit still.
And they're getting into everything.
They're exploring their world.
Okay.
And of course, there's the sensitive period for independence.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
Huge.
Me do it.
Me do it.
All the time.
They want to do everything themselves.
Which can be so frustrating.
I know, but it's so important because it's how they learn to do things for themselves.
Okay, so we have to let them try.
Even if it's messy.
Even if it takes forever.
Exactly.
So those are some of the big ones.
But there are others too.
Okay, like what?
Like a sensitive period for small objects.
Oh yeah, they love those tiny things.
Everything goes in the mouth.
Which is terrifying.
We have to be so careful.
But the book says it's normal.
It's part of their sensory exploration.
They're learning about the world through touch and taste.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else?
There's also a sensitive period for grace and courtesy.
So like manners.
Yeah, they start to pick up on those social cues.
And copy what they see.
Right. So it's a good time to model those behaviors.
Interesting.
And then there's music.
Oh, of course.
They're drawn to rhythm and melody.
Yeah.
It's a powerful way for them to learn.
So what's the big takeaway here for us as parents?
Our takeaway is that we need to pay attention
to these sensitive periods.
Yes.
Observe our kids.
And provide opportunities.
To learn and grow in those areas.
Exactly.
Because if we miss a sensitive period...
They can still learn later.
Okay.
But it might be harder.
Like trying to learn a language as an adult.
Exactly.
Okay, so we want to strike while the iron is hot. Now, another really interesting concept from a book. The absorbent mind.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
What does that mean?
So basically it means that toddlers are like little sponges. They're soaking up everything from their environment.
Everything.
Everything they see, they hear, they feel.
Wow.
And it's not even a conscious thing.
Really?
It's just happening.
So they're constantly learning.
All the time.
Even when we don't realize it.
Even when they're just playing.
So that's why it's so important.
To create a positive environment.
Yes.
A prepared environment.
What does that look like?
Well, we'll get into that more later.
Right.
But basically it means setting up their space in a way that encourages their natural curiosity.
And their independence.
Exactly.
So they can learn and explore on their own.
And the book gives some really great examples of this.
Like what?
Like toddlers who are able to get their own snacks.
Wow.
Or help with cleaning up.
Really?
Yeah. There's this story about a repairman.
Okay.
Who came to fix something in a house. And the toddler had an accident.
Oh, no.
But instead of crying for her mom, she just went and got herself changed, put her dirty clothes in the laundry.
No way.
And came back to play.
That's amazing.
The repairman was blown away.
I bet.
He'd never seen anything like it.
So toddlers are capable of so much more
than we often give them credit for.
If we just give them the opportunity.
Exactly.
And the right kind of environment.
A prepared environment.
And I think that leads us perfectly into the next principle.
Independence and responsibility.
Yes, because when we give toddlers that independence,
they start to develop a sense of responsibility.
For themselves and for their actions.
And for their environment.
So it's not just about letting them pour their own milk.
Even though that's important, it's about fostering a deeper understanding
of how their actions impact the world around them.
Exactly.
And the book gives examples of this.
Oh, yeah, lots of examples. Like toddlers who are able to handle fragile objects with care.
Wow.
Or who offer to help others.
Really?
Or who take care of their own belongings.
That's incredible.
And they even talk about toddlers making amends.
Like apologizing?
Yeah, if they've hurt someone's feelings.
Wow. So even at this young age,
they can understand those concepts.
Of empathy and responsibility.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
Now, I think a lot of people are curious about the actual activities.
Yeah, the Montessori activities.
That we can do with toddlers.
Right.
So what are some of the key principles behind those?
Okay, so the main thing to remember is that these activities are designed to support the whole child.
Okay.
Their physical development. Their cognitive development. Their social and emotional development.
Got it.
And they should be based on your observation.
Of the child.
Yes, of each individual child.
Because every kid is different.
Exactly.
So what are some general principles we should keep in mind?
Okay, so first of all, deep focus.
Okay.
When a child is really engaged in an activity, we shouldn't interrupt them.
Even if we just want to
praise them or ask them a question.
Right.
Because it can break their concentration.
Oh, that makes sense.
So we have to be patient.
And let them finish.
Exactly.
Oh, what else?
We should avoid quizzing them.
Like asking them what color something is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it puts pressure on them.
Right.
And it takes away from the joy of discovery.
So let them explore at their own pace.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we should present one activity at a time.
Okay.
On a tray.
On a tray?
Yeah. It helps them focus.
Okay.
And it makes it less overwhelming.
I can see that.
And when we arrange activities on shelves, we should go from left to right.
Okay.
And from easiest to hardest.
Interesting.
It helps them make choices.
Yeah.
And it also indirectly prepares them for reading.
Oh, because we read from left to right.
Exactly.
Wow, I never thought of that.
It's all connected.
Okay,
We should use what we already have.
Like, we don't need to buy a bunch of fancy Montessori toys.
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
You can get creative with everyday objects.
That's a relief.
And we should prepare everything so that the child can be as independent as possible.
So, like, if we're setting up a painting activity,
yeah,
we should make sure they can reach the paint.
And then the brushes.
And the paper. And maybe an apron.
And a drop cloth.
So they don't make a huge mess.
Right.
That's a lot of prep work.
It is, but it's worth it.
Because it teaches them to be independent.
And it makes your life easier in the long run.
Oh, I'm convinced.
And finally, we should undo the activity when it's finished.
Undo it.
Yeah, put everything back in its place so it's ready for next time.
That makes sense.
And it also reinforces the concept of order.
Oh, right. Because everything has a place.
Exactly.
So those are the general principles.
Now let's talk about some specific activities.
Yes, please.
So the book divides them into different categories.
Okay.
Based on the area of development they target.
Like what?
Well, first we have activities for eye-hand coordination.
Okay.
Which are really important for fine motor skills.
So like using their hands.
Yeah, and their fingers.
To manipulate objects.
Exactly.
Wait, what are some examples?
Well, for younger toddlers.
Like under 2?
Yeah, around 18 months.
Okay.
Simple peg puzzles are great.
Like with just a few pieces.
Yeah, and big knobs so they can easily grasp them.
Got it.
And posting activities are always a hit.
Like putting things into a container.
Exactly.
What kind of things?
Well, even babies love putting balls into a box.
Yeah, that's a classic.
And then as they get older, you can introduce shapes that go through holes.
Oh, that's fun.
And eventually even coins that go into a slot.
Wow, so there's a progression.
Yeah, from simple to more complex.
Okay, what else?
Threading is another great activity.
Like beads on a string?
Exactly.
What kind of beads?
We'll start with big beads and a thick shoelace.
Okay.
So it's easier for them to handle.
Got it.
And then as they get better, you can move to smaller beads.
Yeah.
And a thinner lace.
So it gets more challenging.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then there are activities that involve opening and closing things.
Like what?
Like purses with snaps.
Oh, yeah. Toddlers love those.
And jars with lids.
And containers with different kinds of fasteners.
Yeah, like zippers and buckles.
That's a good way to build those fine motor skills.
And it also helps them learn about cause and effect.
Oh, right, because they have to do something to make the container open.
Exactly.
What else?
For older toddlers.
Like 2 and up.
Yeah. Okay. A pegboard with elastic bands can be really fun.
Oh, yeah. You can make different shapes and patterns.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So those are just a few examples.
Of activities for eye-hand coordination.
And fine motor skills.
Okay, so what's next?
Next, we have music and movement.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, these are important for gross motor skills.
So like using their whole body.
Exactly.
Okay, what kind of activities?
Well, you can give them simple instruments.
Like what?
Like triangles and drums.
Okay. And xylophones?
My kids would love that.
And music boxes?
The ones you turn the handle.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
And rainmakers.
What are those?
They're like tubes filled with beads or beans.
Okay.
That make a rain sound when you turn them over.
That's fun.
And of course, we should encourage lots of outdoor time.
Yes.
Where they can run and climb.
And explore.
Exactly.
And maybe collect things from nature.
Yeah, like leaves and sticks.
To use for crafts.
Or just to look at.
That's a good point.
And you can also give them balls to kick and throw.
Okay.
And balance bikes.
The ones without pedals?
Yeah.
Those are cool.
And even just scarves or ribbons to dance with.
That's a great idea.
So there are lots of ways to get them moving.
And using their bodies.
And having fun.
Okay, what's the next category?
Practical life activities.
Oh, I like those.
Yeah, these are all about helping them participate in everyday tasks.
Okay.
So they can feel like they're contributing.
To the household.
Exactly.
What are some examples? Well, you can have them transfer things.
Like
beans or water.
Okay.
Using spoons or tongs.
Got it.
And you can involve them in food prep.
Oh, like what?
Like spreading butter on bread. Or squeezing juice from an orange.
Yeah.
Or pouring water from a pitcher.
My kids love to do that.
And you can even have them help with setting the table.
Really?
Yeah. Or clearing the dishes.
Wow.
And if you're baking, they can help with measuring and stirring.
Okay.
Obviously, you have to supervise.
Of course.
But it's a great way to get them involved.
And cleaning?
Oh, yeah. Cleaning is a big one.
Like what?
Like sweeping the floor.
Okay.
Or dusting furniture.
Yeah.
Or wiping up spills.
Their kids are actually pretty good at that.
And you can even have them wash windows.
Really?
Yeah, with a little spray bottle and a cloth.
That's a good idea.
And polishing mirrors.
Wow. So much cleaning.
And of course, we have self-care activities.
Like brushing their teeth?
Yeah, and washing their hands.
And getting dressed. But toddlers aren't very good at those things.
Well, they're learning.
Yeah.
And we have to be patient.
And focus on the process.
Not the result.
So it doesn't matter if they get toothpaste all over their face.
As long as they're trying.
And learning.
Exactly.
Okay, so those are practical life activities.
What else do we have?
Arts and crafts.
Oh, yes.
What do we need to know about those?
Well, for drawing, It's best to start with chunky pencils that are easy for little hands to grip.
Got it.
And you can even use natural materials.
Like what?
Like twigs or leaves.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
And for watercolor, start with just 1 or 2 colors.
Okay.
So it doesn't get too messy.
And they can focus on the process.
Exactly.
So less is more.
Yes, definitely.
What about language activities?
Well, you can create vocabulary baskets.
What are those?
They're basically baskets filled with objects that represent different categories.
Like what?
Like fruits and vegetables or animals.
Yeah. Or tools.
Or musical instruments.
Exactly.
So they can learn the names of things.
And you can also use language cards.
What are those?
They're cards with pictures on them.
Okay.
And the child has to match them.
Like matching the picture of an apple to the real apple.
Yeah. Or matching 2 pictures of the same animal.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And of course, books are essential.
Yes.
But it's important to choose books that have realistic pictures.
Okay.
And that relate to their everyday experiences.
So no scary monsters or anything?
Not before the age of 6.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
So those are just a few examples.
Of Montessori activities.
For toddlers.
Okay, so we've talked about the activities.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the environment.
The prepared environment.
Yes, because that's a big part of the Montessori approach.
It's crucial.
So what are the key principles for setting up a Montessori-inspired space?
Okay, so first of all, order.
Everything has a place.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Beauty.
So it should be visually appealing. Scenery.
Okay.
And independence.
So the child can do things for themselves.
Right.
Okay.
And we should make sure that activities are accessible.
So they can reach them.
Yeah, and they should be displayed on shelves.
Not in toy boxes.
Right.
Okay, why is that?
Well, toy boxes are just a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
And it's hard for toddlers to choose what they want to play with.
And it's overwhelming.
Exactly.
So shelves are better.
Much better.
Okay. What else?
Less is more.
So we don't need to have a ton of toys out at once.
No, just a few carefully chosen activities.
That will keep them engaged.
Exactly.
Okay. And the last principle?
Child-sized furniture.
So they can reach things.
And sit comfortably.
Yeah.
And feel like the space is their own.
I love that.
So those are the key principles.
For setting up a Montessori-inspired space.
Now let's go room by room.
Okay.
Starting with the entrance.
Okay.
So here you want to have low hooks.
For coats and bags?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a basket for shoes.
So they can put their shoes away themselves?
Exactly.
Okay.
And a low mirror.
So they can see themselves.
Right.
And maybe a little table.
Yeah.
With a simple activity.
To welcome them home.
I love that.
So that's the entrance.
What about the living room?
Okay, so in the living room, you want to have low shelves.
For activities?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can adjust the height of the shelves.
Oh, that's a good idea.
If you have children of different ages.
So everyone can reach...
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
A book basket or shelf.
Of course.
And a full-length mirror.
So they can see their whole body.
Right.
Okay, what about the kitchen?
So the kitchen is a great place for practical life activities.
Yeah.
So you want to have child-sized implements.
Like what?
Like an apple cutter.
Okay.
Or a juicer.
Yeah.
Or spreaders.
Got it.
And knives.
Knives.
Yeah, but non-serrated ones.
Okay, so they're safe.
Exactly.
Right.
And a crinkle cutter.
Those are fun.
And a water source.
Like a sink.
Yeah, but a low one.
Right.
Or water dispenser.
Or a small pitcher.
Yeah.
And easy to open snack containers.
So they can get their own snacks.
Yes.
And child-sized cleaning supplies.
So they can help with the dishes.
And wipe up spills.
I love that.
So that's the kitchen.
What about the bedroom?
Okay, so in the bedroom, you want to have a low bed.
Or floor mattress.
Yeah.
Okay.
And an accessible wardrobe.
So they can choose their own clothes.
Right. And, of course, the room should be child-proofed.
For safety.
Exactly.
Okay, what about outside?
Well, whether you have a yard or not, there are plenty of opportunities for outdoor exploration.
Like what?
Like parks and
playground. Nature trails.
Exactly.
So those are the room-by-room suggestions.
Now, the book also has a helpful list.
Of what?
Of basic Montessori-inspired items.
That we can get started with.
Yeah.
Okay, what's on the list?
A small table and chair.
Okay.
A low shelf unit.
Yeah.
A bookshelf or box for books.
Got it.
A low bed.
Oh,
a small stool.
Yeah. For reaching things.
Yeah. Low hooks for hanging up cleaning tools.
Okay.
A learning tower.
What's that?
It's like a little platform
that
they can stand on to reach the counter.
Oh, that's cool.
And low hooks for coats and bags by the entrance.
So that's like the starter kit.
Exactly.
That's not too bad.
No, it's pretty manageable.
Now, what about clutter?
Yes. Clutter, the bane of every parent's existence.
It's a constant battle.
So what does the book say about dealing with it?
Well, the main thing is to rotate toys.
Okay.
So you don't have too much out at once.
Like put some away in storage.
Yeah, and then bring them back out later.
So it feels like new again.
Exactly.
Yeah, good idea.
And the book also talks about minimalism.
Like getting rid of stuff?
Yeah, only keeping things that spark joy.
Marie Kondo style.
Exactly.
I like that.
And you can even involve your child in the process.
Really?
Yeah, you can have them help you choose what to keep.
And what to get rid of. And you can talk about thanking the items you're letting go of.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
So it's not just about throwing things away.
It's about being mindful
and grateful
for what we have.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've decluttered.
What?
Now we have to make the space cozy.
Yes.
How do we do that?
Well, you can add soft cushions and blankets and maybe some plants.
Yeah.
And artwork at the child's eye level.
That's a good idea.
And try to use natural materials.
Like wood and wool.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all about creating a space.
That's both functional and beautiful.
And inviting.
And peaceful.
And that reflects the child's personality.
Exactly.
I love that.
So that's the prepared environment.
Now let's move on to the second part of the book.
Accepting our child.
For who they are.
Yes.
This seems like a really important concept.
It's the foundation of the Montessori approach.
Okay, so what does it mean to accept our child for who they are?
It means loving them unconditionally.
Okay.
And respecting their individuality. And seeing the world through their eyes.
That's hard.
It is.
Especially when they're being difficult.
But it's so important because it helps them feel safe and secure.
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to me and helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.